This sporting great graced the football parks of London, Glasgow, Manchester and Milan. A captain of his club and country, he was Butch by name, but a gentleman by nature. He is Ray Wilkins. Why were you known as Butch?
Well, I think when I was born, my father gave me it. Apparently I was a big, fat, hairy baby. Now, where the hair's gone, I've no idea. But that was the reason, and he gave it to me, and it stuck, in actual fact, until I think moved to Milan.
Was it a difficult name to live up to?
Very much so. It's not very pleasant when you're called Butch everywhere, is it? But it wasn't so bad. I think, it was easy for people to recognise, and it probably enhanced my career at that stage just a touch more, I think.
Yeah. But you were, as I said at the start, you were renowned as a gentleman on the pitch. I mean, so was there an expectation with the name Butch that you were harder than you were, or were you a bit of a quiet man? I mean, you could handle yourself when required. I
wouldn't say I was a gentleman on the field. It probably came across that way, but we've all had rows with referees, we've all had rows with opponents, and it's something that's given to you by the supporter more than the players or your peers that you're playing against them with. But it's always very pleasant when people say it, I've got to say, but not necessarily the truth.
Tell me about your family. I mean, it's an amazing footballing dynasty, really.
Yeah, well, my father played, and then there was three of us at Chelsea. That was Graham, who was my older brother. Steve was there with me, and we were very, very close at one stage to actually getting the whole three of us in the first team. Steve just missed out by a whisker, which was very unfortunate. And then Dean played for Brighton, he went to Holland, and now he's back at Brighton with the youth team, helping the youth team out. And I've got two sisters, Valerie and Sandra, that unfortunately didn't play.
Yeah. So many of the people I've spoken to in this series, they talk about the influence of their dad, particularly their father, on what they did. Was there an influence from your parents, from your mum or dad, or particularly your dad? I
think from both, Eamon. They both played an enormous part in the football career, and they came as much as they possibly could to every game that we played. But they wouldn't stand on the same side of the ground, because my mum was too vocal. So my father, who was the quieter one, who would leave it till after the game to voice his opinion towards us, would stand on one side, and my mother, who was too vocal, would stand on the other side. So, but they did give us, obviously, the utmost encouragement.
What was your dad's philosophy to football? I mean, did he? I mean, obviously, as sons, he would have brought you out to the park and kicked ball with you and that sort of thing. But did he ever instill anything into you?
I think it was the skill factor of football that he really enjoyed watching, and even in his last days, he would always talk about the Ginolas, who gave him great pleasure. But it was definitely the skill factor, and the fact that you have to work hard as a footballer. It doesn't come easy.
Robson swings the ball across to Graham. There's been good use of the crossfield pass by Manchester United. Duxbury's coming up outside him, should he want to push it there. Support from Wilkins. Brian Robson, a forward, got into the penalty area.
Tell me about your first big club, Chelsea. Why there?
Well, I was recommended there, Eamon. We had a young man from the area called Tommy James, who was an apprentice there. He went to the same school as I did. And he happened to mention to the scouts at Chelsea, there's two young lads in my area that aren't bad. And they came along and they said, well, just bring them out, they can train every Tuesday and Thursday evening. So he took us along, and we stuck there. And I think that was from about 10 and a half to 11. We actually joined, Graham and I, and we went every Tuesday, every Thursday, and it continued from there. At 14, I think it was, I signed schoolboy forms with them, and then apprenticeship at 16, and it was just a lovely relationship with a great club.
Harris. Wilkins. Beautifully rifled in. Fine left foot shot, keeping the ball down.
I mean, that relationship, it really was boys' own stuff. It was unbelievable. You started early, and today we hear frequently about young players. It seems to be becoming more common, 17 and 18-year-olds playing for Premiership teams. But we do not hear what happened to you. You were a captain of Chelsea at 18 years of age.
It was difficult. It was a difficult period because when Eddie McCready made me captain, I was playing quite well personally. But after that, I had 6 months where I couldn't kick a ball. Now, whether that was the expectations that people had put upon me, or the pressure that I was feeling from Eddie giving me the captaincy, because I was still playing in the side with many real old pros. You know, Peter Bonetti was in there, Ron Harris was in there, David Hay was still in there. So I thought naturally Eddie would give that across to one of the senior pros, but he didn't. I think Eddie went in and he just wanted to change the whole scene at Chelsea.
But what did Eddie see in you? I mean, the captain's quality. What do you think that Eddie saw in you?
I don't know. I'd captained the reserves on a couple of occasions, Eamon, and the youth team on a couple of occasions, but I don't honestly know what he saw in me. But he showed a lot of faith in me, and I am a great deal as far as that's concerned.
I mean, in many ways, people would have thought, this is a bit of a poisoned chalice. I mean, you say you were surrounded by those players, and there were probably a few more, maybe John Hollands or whatever there. How, I mean, as senior players, and we're talking senior, established and quality players, and this kid comes in and begins to bark
Young
orders.
Upstart, yeah, exactly.
I mean, phew.
But they gave me great assistance. There was no jealousy, no envy in there, and they really gave me nothing but encouragement. And I drew off that a hell of a lot. And if I had a problem, I could go and see them. It really wasn't a problem for me to go and see them about it. And they were different class. There was no animosity there. It was just a good time, and we had good fun there.
Now, throughout your whole career, as we talk, I mean, you have captained great sides. I mean, you've been in charge of Manchester United, you've been in charge of Chelsea, you've been in charge of England, for goodness sake. What do you think you bring to the game as a captain?
My word, that's a difficult one, Eamon. You've done me there.
What do you do? What's your job when you go out there? And is the job only
Well, I think
on the
it's
pitch?
obviously to pull people together. I think during the minutes you get before a game, and whilst you're out on a football field, with the crowd and everything, you don't know how people are reacting. And it's always nice for someone to turn around when you've done something quite well and say, well, or badly, don't worry about it, you'll be okay.
So if I was playing under you, would I be frightened of you, or would I be reassured by Ray
No, I'd
Wilkins
like to think you'd be reassured that there wasn't a problem. Even if you're playing badly, I think that's when you're looking for senior players and captains to get hold of you and say, hey, man, it's not a problem. But make sure the next thing you do is a positive thing. Even if it just means passing the ball 10 yards to one of your own teammates, you're now having a good game. And if you can get inside people's heads as soon as possible, then you've got every chance of turning the negativity into something positive.
Are you a natural leader?
I think I am, but people have said I am, and it's very nice of people to say that. It's not very... I don't get great pleasure out of talking about myself as being good at this, as being good at that. I think it's always nice when other people say it, and people have said that that is the case. And I thank them for that, because it's always very pleasant. And I got immense satisfaction from being asked to captain any side that I played for.
So what about the Chelsea years? I mean, there you were. This was your childhood club. You're then a teenager and a man into his 20s. Why did that come to an end?
Well, I think we had well-publicised financial problems at Stamford Bridge. And Danny Blanchflower was the manager. And Danny just thought that he needed some money in to regenerate within the squad, sorry. And I would be the player that could generate a bit of cash for them. And Dave Sexton, who I've worked with before, decided that he would buy me up at Manchester United. And I was very sad to leave, it has to be said, because we got to a situation at Chelsea where we were very fortunate that we had I think we played half the season with 10 homegrown lads.
And whilst at Chelsea, I mean, where were you building your reputation? I mean, in what areas, when people were looking at Butch Wilkins, what were they saying?
Well, I think the passing aspect of my game was something that was always with me, and Eddie played me in a different position entirely. I played just behind the front people. I scored quite a few goals, which was what he wanted me to do. And then when I went elsewhere, they wanted me to do different things. So I consequently changed the way I played. But I think from the passing aspect and the creative side, people were speaking more about me than anything.
It was Britain for Chelsea. Wilkins, look at that ball. He saw Stanley ready to make the run. Wilkins, wide for Gary Locke.
Wilkins. Oh, one for Walker. What a superb ball by Wilkins.
But then all good things come to an end sooner or later, and it was off to Manchester.
Jordan,
Ritchie stays down, but here's Wilkins, and that's number 4.
And Orbiston's made a run from the back, and Wilkins has scored one, and that's absolutely magnificent.
I put it to you as a supporter. I've heard certain supporters saying, great Ray Wilkins, great player, but he maybe favoured the square ball too often.
Well, that was Uncle Ron that actually labelled me with that crustacean shout, wasn't it? So
they called you the crab.
The crab, exactly, yes. But I've always felt if you've got possession of the ball, and I watch United play now, and they pass it wherever there is a red shirt. It doesn't have to go forward. You know, we can get anyone off the street just to boot the ball forward. That's not a problem. But I always felt that if you had it, you had an opportunity of doing something with it. If you don't have the ball, then you've got to work very, very hard to get it back. And especially when you're playing the likes of the Arsenals, the Tottenhams and the Liverpools. And they all keep possession of the ball and make you work very hard. So that was my philosophy of the game, keep the ball, make the opposition work. So when they receive the ball, now they're tired because they've had to work hard to get it back. Don't give the ball away cheaply.
You were ahead of your time.
I don't know about that.
Do you think at United you were fortunate or it was problematic having Brian Robson there at your shoulder, under not only at club level but at country level as well? Because what I'm talking about, you were captain, Brian was to follow you,
yes.
Both in the middle of the park or whatever. Was that a plus or was that a minus?
Oh, it was a plus.
The team was big enough for both of you?
Oh, it was a plus. You know, there was nothing negative about it. When Brian arrived, there was a lot of people saying, well, Ray's off now, that's his time. But we formed a very successful partnership, Robbo and I, and fortunately it went on to the international scene as well. But he was a terrific player. And it can only be a plus when you've got terrific players playing in the same side. They said we couldn't play together, we were too similar, but I didn't really see that. You know, Robbo was the marauding type of player that used to bomb into the opponent's box. I was more of the sitter and the holder and the prompter than Robbo was. So I think the combination really suited the United team at the time.
And halfway through the first half, Liverpool have the edge, but there's no score. Good touch by Stapleton, and Wilkins has got Brian Robson through. And the Manchester United captain opens the scoring in the 23rd minute. Liverpool caught on the break. And two men who've captained England combined well there. Ray Wilkins supplied the pass. It caught Liverpool square. This time there was no offside flag. Brian Robson went on, had the presence of mind to wait, beat Grobbelaar, and the FA Cup holders lead the league champions by 1-0.
Let's go to the international scene now. 84 caps for your country. When did the England call come? When did that first happen?
I played made my debut in '76 in the bicentennial tournament in New York against Italy. And we played on the baseball diamond. Didn't actually fill it in with grass. One half was grass and the other half was a baseball diamond, which was quite bizarre, really. And we were 2-0 down at half-time. And we managed to come back playing on grass and beat them 3-2. So that was in 1976, that one.
Yeah. How long did it take you to become England captain?
I can't remember the year, but it was under Bobby Robson. And we played our first game against Denmark, I think, and got beat 1-0. But it took quite a time. I think I was in my mid-20s before that happened.
You mentioned Bobby Robson there. You would have played under a few England managers in your time.
Yeah.
Do you remember how many?
Well, Don Revie was the first one, and Bobby, Ron Greenwood, all terrific guys, and all with different ways of trying to get people to work. Ron Greenwood was, and still is, a true gentleman, and it was just the arm around the shoulder when he was telling you was dropped. So when you was warming up, you tried to get as far away from Ron as you possibly could because he was hunting you out on the training field. Bobby Robson was totally different, more flamboyant in his approach. And Don Revie was the dossier person. You know, you'd arrive on a Sunday evening, a big thick dossier. You could be playing Iceland or some really remote nation at the time, but by the time you'd finished it, you thought you was playing against Pele,
Sure.
which I found quite frightening, and didn't read too many of them. I just left them to the side. I didn't want to know as in-depth as the document said what my opponent was going to be like. So all different characters, but all enjoyable to work with.
Even then, looking ahead to your managerial career, were you taking aspects of what these men brought to the game? Were you taking that away with you and forming part of your managerial character that was to come?
I think everybody does it, Eamon, and I've worked under some fantastic coaches and great managers as well. So not only those three, but also trying to pick the brains of every manager or coach that I'd played under. And I think you do it, you have to do it, because at the time those guys knew better than you. So it's always nice to take a bit of knowledge from all of them.
Mexico World Cup, 1986. Now, you became the first England player to be sent off at a World Cup finals stage. What happened? Talk us through it.
Well, I'd been booked earlier, and this guy, he kept looking at me, this referee, and I thought, there's something strange about this chap. And with it, we were getting a bit of a pasting, actually, against Morocco, and they were giving us a real lesson in football. And the ball went out to someone. I was getting a bit frustrated. I fouled him, and the guy booked me, but every second after that, I could see this guy's eyes on me. And then the ball rolled out, or came out to me on the left-hand side, and I'd been looking across the line of the defence, and I didn't think for 1 minute I was offside, and I was given offside. So in a moment of petulance, I just picked the ball up and threw it to the floor. Unfortunately, it skidded up and hit the guy on the leg. So he decided that it was worth a second bookable, and off I went.
Flag is up for offside. And a red card has been shown to Ray Wilkins. Disaster upon disaster for England. They lose their captain, and now they've lost their vice-captain.
Do you think it was worth a second bookable?
Well, probably was, because I threw the ball and it hit the ref. If it hadn't have hit him, I think I might have got away with it.
Got away with it.
But it hit him.
Yeah,
but if I wanted to hit him, I'd have thrown it somewhere else, I can assure you.
84 to 87, after United, it was the Italian job,
Yes.
the Italian experience, AC Milan. What was that like as a period in your life?
Wonderful. Very difficult 6 months, I mean, initially, because you're left to your own devices, of course, and to learn a different language. If someone had said to me at school at 15, you'll speak a different language, you'll speak Italian, I would have said, well, you're nuts. There's no chance that I could pick up a language. But I did.
How well did you pick it up?
No, poorly. Grammatically, I'm a disgrace. But I can get by. Which
you can order in a restaurant.
Yeah, it's no problem. But the Italian people are so warm, Eamon, that there really isn't a problem. And there's a story that I won't tell on air.
We'll talk about afterwards.
We'll get you cut off, yeah. When all the lads decided that they would help me. And they did help me. And if I made a mistake, it's not a problem, Ray, this is how you say it. And they're very warm people, the Italians, and I love them. But I honestly feel, Eamon, if I hadn't have gone there at 27, I wouldn't have been able to play to the ripe old age of 40, as I did.
Really?
Because they educated me.
In what way?
In every way, in how to look after your body. You have to train hard to succeed, longevity in your career. And I did train very, very hard there. Our first pre-season was absolutely agonising. We would train 2.5 hours in the morning. This was just running and weights, and then we'd go for a 45-minute warm down. This was the first day of pre-season. And I can remember going back there at 4:30 to start the ball work, and my legs were so sore that the masseur couldn't even give me a massage to get the stiffness out.
And you would have regarded yourself as a fit lad at that
I thought
stage.
I was fit, before I went to Italy. But their fitness levels are immense, absolutely terrific.
But I mean, the perception here would be that the Italian game would be slower than it is in England, and therefore, presumably, you wouldn't have to be as fit.
Yeah, it appears slower, purely and simply technically. Their first touch of the ball, it kills the ball. Therefore, you can't come and tackle me if my first touch is so good. What we tend to have in England, because the game is, well, it looks fast, because sometimes the first touch of the ball gets away, then someone else wallops someone else, and then the ball breaks somewhere else, and we're all sprinting after it. Where in Italy, because they're technically gifted, that ball doesn't run away from people, the ball stays with them. So it isn't any slower. You know, we've seen prime examples of when our top teams have played against Italian sides. The Italians can handle it no problem at all.
Glasgow Rangers. What was the bigger culture shock for this London lad, Italy or Scotland?
Well, it's a harder language up in Scotland, it has to be said. But no, I thoroughly enjoyed Scotland because I'd found the people, the same as the Italian people, very warm. I loved the Scots. You know, even when you're in their company socially, they're great people. It's all a myth about them being tight. They're the most generous people you could wish to meet. And we had a great 2.5 years up there. It really was good fun. But I couldn't understand. Here I was, I'd come from Italy and France where the majority of people were Catholic people anyway, and very warm, and I'd enjoyed my time there. Now all of a sudden I've gone to Glasgow and my teammates are hating the Catholic people, which I couldn't come to terms with. I never did, to be perfectly honest. Never did come to terms with that, and I still can't. I don't, for the life of me, see in modern day society where we can't talk. And as far as I'm concerned, it was ridiculous. And Graham Souness did the greatest thing ever in bringing Morris to the club, because he broke that barrier.
Why did you stretch out your playing career so long? Did you have to, or did you want to?
No, I wanted to. You know, people used to say to me, why on earth are you going to play for these teams? But I just enjoy having a game of football. I still do. I mean, if someone phones me up, you want to have a game, well, I'm there.
You may regret that.
Yeah, exactly. I'm there. I want to have a game.
Yeah.
And I still keep myself relatively fit, although I've gone to seed a little bit over the last couple of months. But no, I love it. I love football. And the one thing about my game, I never had any pace. I mean, the first thing, when you look at a player, they say, well, he's lost a yard. Well, they couldn't say that about me because I didn't
never
have it
had
to
it in the
lose.
first place.
Yeah, so it enabled me to play for longer
Eric
periods.
Cantona never had any pace. Teddy Sheringham doesn't have any pace. I
Well,
mean, it's a different way you play, though, isn't it?
Yeah, totally different way I played, yeah. And I think that the longer you go on, the more I understand. It's a bit like they talk about boxing and having ring management, and golf they have course management. It's the same on a football field. You have football management, you know where to be at a given time. And whereas a youngster you'd have flown there, or got there as quick as possible, you walk, and you'll be there in plenty of time. So the experience that I gained over the years made it very easy for me to play.
It's funny you bring up that word management there. How much of a culture shock, we're talking about within different countries and clubs and whatever, how much of a culture shock was it moving from being a player to a manager?
The big problem I had, Eamon, when I went back to Queen's Park Rangers was the fact that 6 months before I was a teammate and all the Queen's Park Rangers boys were my buddies. And so, but now I'm in there as a manager and I've got to dictate to my friends. And that was probably the biggest problem I had. They gave me everything, the lads, as far as effort was concerned. At times we were caught short on the fact that we didn't have probably as much technical ability as the opposition. But it was as if they were trying their hardest for a mate. And that I respected enormously. But one of the biggest mistakes I made, I actually said to them, lads, if you've got any problems, please come and see me. I think as managers do, please come and see me. Well, the door was nearly knocked down every day. You know, why an I plan, why an I plan, why an I plan. And there's only 11 shirts that can be given out at one given time. And that became difficult because I felt for them, but it was a job I had to do.
But you talked about at the start about your captaincy and how you would encourage those people around you, and you thought that was a quality that you had. Could it put it to you that perhaps maybe that is also a weakness, the fact that you want to be considerate to other people, you want to encourage other people, and maybe by being that, there's less of the bad guy in you that there should be?
A lot of people have said that, Eamon, but I still made decisions when I had to make them. And that I would never have shirked away from because Queen's Park Rangers employed me, and I knew I had to make that decision. So from that aspect, that really wasn't a problem to me. If I knew I had to make it, I made it. I don't find being considerate and trying to help people a weakness. I think a lot of people can gain a bit of strength from it, and that's all I was trying to do at that given time, was give them that strength and belief. Because a lot of times in football and at certain clubs, there's a lot of players who feel that they're inferior to the opponent they're going to play against. And it's vitally important that if you're managing that side, you have to try and make them feel at ease with themselves. They can't go on the field like a coiled up spring because they won't perform.
On the subject of management and difficult decisions. There you were in a blaze of publicity, going to Fulham with Kevin Keegan there, Mohammed Al Fayed. Great things planned. I'm sure you really did believe great things were around the corner. But then a decision had to be taken. Kevin was a friend of yours, and yet the decision was made either by him, presumably, or Mohammed Al Fayed, I presume Kevin, that Ray, you no longer fit the setup here. Now that must have been a difficult decision for him to take.
I think it was, but it was one that Kevin felt that he had to make. And I think in many ways you have to admire people when they make decisions, and it obviously wasn't very pleasant for me, but it was one that he felt that he had to make. We just had a disagreement over certain things, and he felt that he had to make that decision, and he did.
Did you take that on the chin, or have you been...
I don't think there's anything that you can do about it, Eamon. If someone makes that decision, then...
You can huff about it.
Then it's made. You can huff and puff and go away and sulk for as long as you want, but it doesn't really achieve anything, does it? It hasn't stopped me wanting to get back and do the job. I want to have another bash at it, and I'm not over-concerned where I do it. Because I think out of any group of lads, it's the working with them from day to day, the agonies they go through, the joys they go through, and you go through exactly the same as their manager or their coach or whatever. And you miss it immensely when you're out of it. It's a massive void in your life.
But if one of your mates won't have you as manager of the club, I mean, that obviously has set you back a bit. What's the relationship between you and Kevin like now? I mean, are you on speaking terms?
I would imagine we would be, Eamon. I haven't spoken to Kevin for months. I would imagine we would be. I'm not the sort of person, I've got to say, that hold grudges against anybody. As I say, he felt he had to make a decision, and he did so. And if I met him, I would probably speak to him, and that really wouldn't be a problem as far as I'm concerned. And I'm sure from his angle, it probably wouldn't be that enormous a problem to speak to me.
I know you have tremendous affection for every club you've been associated with, from Chelsea to Man United to AC Milan, Rangers, Hibernian Orient, whoever it happens to be. But would you have, in all that playing time with all those different clubs, is there one moment, one time that stands out?
Probably the Milan experience was something that was totally different. It was a different culture, it was a different way of playing football, it was a different lifestyle. So that actually stands out. But the one thing that, from my angle, that has been terrific, Eamon, is the fact that the rapport I've got with whether it be Orient or Chelsea. I go back now and speak to people and supporters around the ground, and I still have a lovely relationship with the club itself. And Man U, I've been up there on several occasions, has been wonderful.
And how would you like Ray Wilkins to be remembered as a player?
Normally as a player you have one thing that you can do quite well, and I would like people to say that I could pass the ball well, whether it be sideways or forward. I'm not too sure.
We'll pass on that, Ray. It's been lovely talking.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dave. Thank you.